we're ready to get started on our next thing. My name is Christy Kodama, and I'm a PhD student here at the iSchool. And I have the pleasure of introducing our next panel presentation and discussion on engaging libraries, lessons from the engaging disadvantaged youth in STEM, science, technology, engineering, and mathematics through libraries, lessons from the front lines of library service. As our world becomes more and more digital and technology-focused, STEM subjects are becoming increasingly popular and important in preparing our children for the future. Public and school libraries can and do play a huge role in fostering STEM learning and interest among today's youth. And we have some great presenters to share their thoughts and experiences on this topic. Angela Brade is our first presenter. She is Howard County Library System's Chief Operating Officer for Support Services. She is responsible for their capital projects, support services, materials management, procurement, IT, and special projects. She is a strong advocate for education, innovation, and the practical application of both in library settings. Next, we have Stacey Montgomery. Stacey is a school librarian at William Wirt Middle School in Prince George's County. In addition to the many, many things her job requires of her, one thing she has done was coordinated the implementation of a one-to-one mobile device initiative in a middle school to transform education through digital learning. And lastly, we have Brijin, Boddy. She is the Youth and Teen Services Manager at the Martin Luther King Jr. Main branch of the DC Public Library. And she has worked with teens for over a decade and has done a variety of programming with this age group. And lastly, we have our moderator, Amanda Waugh, who is also a doctoral student here in the iSchool. And she's also a graduate research associate with IPAC. Amanda has been working on many numerous projects that focus on libraries and students, primarily in this Identity project, which examines the intersection of STEM and storytelling in the school library and an online environment with urban middle school students. So I'll hand it over to Amanda.
Thank you, Christy. So let me just frame things a little bit for us. Christy did a wonderful job introducing all of us. I'll just say that I'm stepping in today for Dr. Megha Subramaniam, who could not be here. And those of you who know Megha know that it's a tall order to try to fill her shoes, but I will certainly do my best today. We have such a fabulous panel that I'm confident this is going to go very, very well. So, some context. We've talked a lot about different diversity in different ways, but I want to tell you a little bit about youth and libraries. Data is all drawn from YALSA's recent report. Youth make up about 25% of all library users. 72% of 16 to 17-year-olds have used a public library. Most libraries provide youth services, as we've all seen. More than 62% of students enrolled in public libraries have access to a school library. Now, as someone who studies school libraries, I feel impelled to point out that means 38% don't, which I think is a problem. They're losing access to so many of those resources that are so critical in the years that they're getting their education. Demographics of this country have changed tremendously and those changes are continuing to accelerate. This data is all drawn from the NEKC Kids Count report. 1/5 of children in America are immigrants or children of immigrants. That has profound impacts on how we provide library services. 22% of children in America, that's more than 16 million kids, live below the poverty line. And I think we would all probably agree that there's a ways above the poverty line where people are still struggling quite a bit. So that is a tremendous number of children who need the services that libraries can provide. STEM has been a tremendously important topic in recent years. Every time a new report comes out, it shows that the United States is lagging behind other nations, both in STEM education, in both proficiency and in interest, which was news to me. I was aware of the proficiency gap. I was not aware of the interest gap, which I think in some ways is possibly more critical. Understanding STEM concepts, they're essential that we have to an educated citizenry. Think about the debates that we are undertaking these days with regards to how do we fund healthcare reform? What are we going to do when climate change is accelerating and we're seeing storms that are larger than we've ever seen before, and we have winters like we've never typically had in the Washington area. Those are things that citizens need to be informed about if they're going to make good choices and speak with their elected representatives. And finally, the achievement and participation gap is an ongoing challenge that, despite many, many efforts, persists. So that just frames kind of what these librarians are, the importance of what these librarians are doing and how critical their services are. I had actually put Brijin first, is that okay? Okay, would you like the clicker? Okay. I'm introducing here Brijin Boddy. She is the manager of Children and Youth Services at Martin Luther King Library downtown.
I can still say good morning for the next like 5 minutes. To start off, I wanted to talk a little bit about what it means to work as a public librarian in the middle of downtown DC. How many of you have been to the Martin Luther King Jr. Memorial Branch? Oh, lovely. So you all know where we're located. We're right down in the middle of DC. And when we were originally talking about this and kind of getting together, the question of diversity service, I was like, that's what I do every day. Because I see all types of people all the time. In fact, I see people from all over the country, international, people come to DC, not just those who live there come to the library, but people who visit come to the library as well. So when this topic was brought up, I was like, well, I don't know what I can provide, but I'll tell you about what we do. So this is a very practical idea of what we do as far as doing STEM. So in public libraries, we like to do things that people want to do. I don't have the luxury of having a school where I can hold them captive. I have to attract them in. And one of the things we like to do is to also include art in our STEM. Obviously, you can make lots of connections to art and math and art and science and all these things. So we take STEM, we add art, and we get STEAM. So a lot of our program kind of covers all of that area. The first area is science. And I just put up a couple examples of the type of work we do. I also put in a lot of examples of where we work with community partners to give people ideas of the kinds of things they could do in their own communities. For science for us, health and wellness programs are very important. We have a very large LGBTQ, any other letters you'd like to add, as well as homeless population. So health education, health screenings, these are very important to us and the community we serve. So we work with a partner called Smile, and they've been working in this area for a very long time, and they come in and do peer education. Now the first time we did it, I was like, I don't know, this sounds pretty academic, we'll see what happens. We had a group of 10 who sat down, we had the peer educators there, they sat down with them. They were all African American males. To say I was astounded by that is a small statement, because I was like, well, I can see the girls maybe doing it. I can see, people who maybe stop in are a little bit interested, but to actually have them sit down and engage in conversation, to have education, to then also be tested, was a big step for us and a big realization that this service and this education and programming was needed. And in a public library, you don't always think that. You don't always think that you're going to attract that group. And so to actually do it was very exciting for us. And we continue to work with Smile now because of that success. And Smile's been working with local LGBTQ youth for about 30 years, so they have a lot of experience in what they do. So bringing them in has allowed us, where we didn't necessarily have the knowledge base, to offer this service. Next, we have technology. For those who have been to MLK, you may know we have a very new and shiny and fun digital commons. And in that digital commons, we have 3D printers, 3D scanners. We're branching out even farther in technologies, really creating some amazing makerspace opportunities. So we decided to use that with teams, and we've explored using 3D printing and design with local robotics groups. So those robotics teams that get together and they have this really crazy and fun, exciting project where they have to create a robot to do many wild things. A lot of times they have to make their own pieces. And before they would just jerry-rig and use different things to make their pieces. And now they can actually design them. We teach them how to do that and then print them themselves. So this has provided a totally different education to these students, as well as a new opportunity for us to get involved in groups that are very education-based. We also do video production class, so we allow creativity in the video production realm as well. So those are just a couple things we do in the technology realm. Engineering. First we have sound engineering, which we are very lucky to have a studio in our teen space, and it's very well loved and very well used. But we also wanted to provide some programming for those teens who didn't have the experience to go in and make their own music. So we work with Words, Beats, and Life, and this is a group that does education through hip hop. They do all sorts of education. For us, they do an MC class, which is a fancy way of saying creating rap music. But they also do graffiti art, and they do chess club, and they do beatboxing, and they do dancing. It's really fun when they all come together and show what all the classes have learned. So for us, they do an MC class, and the beautiful part about this partnership is they really believe, and I feel this is very important when you're doing STEM or any programming, is that you have a beginning, a middle, and end, and at the end there's a product. So you're not just telling teens, here's how you do it, you're not just showing them how you do it, you actually have them walk through the process and create something in the end. And that's really important if you're talking about any kind of programming, but STEM programming especially, that it's not just a show and tell, it's that they're actually learning and producing themselves. We also, I always like to mention this, do our own live action Angry Birds, physics at work. And that's always really popular and a lot of fun as well. So then our art area, we like to do our own art attacks, which are basically like different fun, kind of wild and crazy things that the teens can come and take part of and learn about. Again, taking from an idea, showing how to a product. So we've done yarn bombing, blackout poetry, origami. We also have a very active manga club that talk about the manga and graphic novels and everything of that nature. To give you guys a better idea, this is what yarn bombing looks like. You can swing by and see it if ever you're in DC. It's really amazing. We do it on a much smaller scale. We yarn bomb the library, so you might walk through DC Public Library and see bookends that are all covered in yarn. We don't quite go to this level, maybe someday. But I find it's a wonderful example of kind of the art and having it and being able to create something that's so fun and pretty, but also, be what you want it to be. Our last section is math. We kind of focus when we talk about math in the computer hacking way. We work with the Women's Society of Cyberjitsu, and they basically come and show teens how to do it. This was our first year working with them, and I wasn't sure who would be interested. I was interested, I was fascinated. But we did it as kind of an open forum. So you could come and go as you please, really just kind of open to the teens. And they were just nonstop. They were there and they were excited and they were interested, and it was really engaging, which gives me hope that this kind of program is also wanted and needed in the public setting. So that's one area. Obviously, we also do a chess club, which takes a lot of math and spatial recognition. I'm no good at chess, but they're great. They always want me to play them, and I'm like, you don't want that. You want somebody who could actually, give you a challenge or something of that nature. And it's one of our most successful programs throughout our system, which is also good. The reason I bring up all these partnerships, that I think it's really important to recognize that I'm a librarian. I love information. I love to read. I love to do all these things. I love to work with teens and children, but I don't have specialized knowledge. You know, I don't know how to code myself. I could maybe teach myself in a couple years and then put it out. But there are people out there in your community that want to share what they know and they love. And it's important when you're considering, like, if you're a library student and you're going to go out and become a librarian in a public library, it's important to understand your community is your best resource to really provide some wonderful experiences and programs. And so that's one of the reasons I really highlighted a lot of different partnerships we do, because without that, we wouldn't be able to do half these programs. Whether it's the partnership that brings the students in to give them the experience, or it's the partnership that brings the knowledge to us. So as you go out into the world and you become librarians, or you have students who will, remind them of that. It's important to really remember that libraries are only as good as how they work with their communities and what they do. And that's all I have.
That was great. Thank you, Brijin. I have never heard of yarn bombing before. This was new to me. But maybe we'll go and give that a try. Angela? Thank you very much.
Thank you. Good day, everybody. Very rarely do I ever need a microphone, so I'll try to be good and talk a little softer. My name is Angela Brade from Howard County Library System, and I'm here to talk to you a little bit about, not just about STEM and youth, but I thought we talked a little bit about partnerships, so I'm going to talk a little bit about that too. There we go. So the first thing I'm working with youth, I'm going to say is that you have to know your community, which I'm sure you all know. You have to know what they're interested in, what they value, a strong organizational foundation in terms of vision and mission and the plan, and absolutely a plan that exhausts them both. At Howard County Library, you'll see we have a vision and a mission and a strong foundation by which we can build all the other programs that we do, initiatives. We have to understand our youth and how to approach them, but based on that foundation. And I guess another thing on the checklist I would offer up is to implement an Agile and a Google philosophy, and I'll talk a little bit about that later. And then also identify resources that have a passion for working with youth. I'll cover that. And then I'll talk about identifying resources that have a passion for STEM. And I get a little bit excited and I talk really fast, so if I talk too fast, you can throw something at me, or you can just wave, and then I'll know to try to slow down. Slow down. Okay. I thought the gentleman in the back wanted me to slow down too. So with that said, our foundation, our vision, really is built on, our foundation is built on our vision, which is to have a strong educational system to contribute that to our county. And then our mission is to deliver the highest quality of public education for people of all ages. And we say a free educational system, education is free, because a lot of times in the public schools, we will find that youth are pulled into the GT programs or pulled into other programs, and some of the students that we're talking about today may or may not be in those programs. And so we want to reach out and have education for all youth. What has worked for us is our operational plan for some of our programs, and that really is to plan in advance. You can see the checklist there. Make sure that you utilize your branches and your staffing. Make sure that you identify resources in your community, that you have an advisory committee. We're very, very big on advisory committees, bringing people in from the community to partner with us and to lend their expertise. We also have communication plans. We offer our initiatives and our curriculum, making sure the word gets out, and I'll cover that with our partnerships, and then utilizing the library system, increasing utilization. So a lot of times in partnerships, they will say, you can come to us. We try to have our partners do things there in our library system, because we want people to come, we want the youth to come, and we want them to use our system. I'll start with a general one that we use, and it's our marquee educational partnership. It's with the school system as well as with our local college, our community college. Our A+ partnership is our umbrella program, of which we have things that are like the spelling bee, the Rip Goldberg competition, which is doing 5th graders are doing kind of interesting things with using simple machines. We also have Battle of the Books, which we just had last Friday, which was awesome. And these are just a few of the programs. I'm going to finish up with High Tech, which is our main STEM program. First, I'll start though with our teen time and our homework club. These are just some pictures, and I figured they tell the story of our youth, and you can see what their faces show and how they feel. We are in teen time and homework club working with their homework. We do have some STEM components to it, but we pretty much provide after-school consistency for teenagers in this area. Some of them, most of them come straight from the school and come over to the library, and that's where they stay. We do offer small snacks for them because some of them may not have eaten since lunch and may not eat again until their parents get home in the evening. This is a picture from our Battle of the Books. One of our most popular youth educational programs is where the youth have to read 15 books over a period of months, and then they come together for a competition. Last Friday, we had 240 teens at 5 different schools, and we had 1,200 fifth graders, only fifth graders, can participate in this competition. This is really neat because it's a fun way for youth who may not like to read so much to really want to read because they're very competitive and they want to get involved. They get to dress in really fun costumes, and it is a hoot to see them compete for the 50 questions. Now there's an award, they get a trophy for first, second, and third place, but we also have awards for wackiest costume, best civility, which that was also funny. We try to ask them, what does civility look like? So we had them put on their best civility face. And believe it or not, they all profiled and did it. But we have best team name, a lot of different categories. Now, unfortunately, everyone doesn't win, but the wonderful thing about this initiative is this educational program gets youth to read and really love it and know the book inside and out. For every answer, it may be a quote, a picture, a description of a picture, something out of the book that they have to write down on a sheet of paper, give to the runner, and the runner runs it up front. This is another picture. These were the 5 guy books, book and fries, that's what they were. But they've got all kind of wacky names, cheese, book curls, and things of that nature. So it's a lot of fun, and the pictures probably don't do it as much justice because I think the parents and the participants have actually a lot of fun. It's very noisy. But this is the partnership that we do in conjunction with the school system. So when we talk about partnerships, this is ideal. The school system provides the building. They provide their auditorium, their gyms. If they had not provided the gyms, we would have to find the funding for that. And we also don't have, our libraries are not big enough to house that sort of competition. So when we look at partnerships with the school system, this is a wonderful example. We also partner with local businesses to contribute to this event. The schools also provide teachers. So then teachers at the school system will lead up a team and help the teens practice during their lunch breaks, during their recess. And then that way the students are prepared, but they do have a parent coach that actually accompanies them to the competition, and the parent coach is the one who's really the coach. But again, it's all the partnership with the parents and with the schools. Another partnership we have, and this was sort of an interesting one, we do Spelling Bee, and Spelling Bee, of course, is for 3rd, 4th, 5th graders, and we had some younger youth who were loving or wanted to spell. We had parents that wanted to do things. We had a person on staff who actually thought this up, came in and said one day, hey, why don't we do Bumblebee? And we were like, okay, and we then started doing Bumblebee, which is for the 2nd and 3rd graders, very younger group, but it's a fun thing. They do get medals, and they love it. And what this does is it gets them, all students, if they're going to public school, they do not have to be in GT, they don't have to stay after school. So a lot of students who are in situations where mom and dad have to either pick you up, or you have to go to the aftercare program, so mom and dad can't be there to take you somewhere else, they can practice the spelling bee during the school time, which is a partnership with the school. So this is another example of what we do. The spelling bee, we do that and it's very, very successful in Howard County. And we gave out several library cards previously, but the spelling bee is where the youth come, and I'm sure you're familiar with that before they study in class, partnership with the school does the preliminary rounds, and then we have the finals of all of the participants. And we host that in conjunction with community organizers, community businesses like banks, and also the school system. That gives you sort of a high level of some of the educational programs that we do have and how we partner with schools. One thing that we did start in the after-school initiative and during the summer is Everyday Engineering. Everyday Engineering is a program we have for youth elementary school age. Those youth come and they learn about how to do, they do toothpick statues and towers, and you can see some Legos, and these are some PVC pipes, and they actually go and build and learn some basic engineering concepts. This class was very, very popular for elementary school youth, and we find that we get them in and they don't want to go home, and then at the end they can all showcase their items and put their items out on the table, and they all kind of evaluate and talk among each other. So this is like early stage STEM. In 2012, we were fortunate to get a grant through the MacArthur Foundation and the IMLS. That grant was for a digital learning lab, which we entitled High Tech. Going into that grant, we were very clear we wanted to do a digital learning lab, but more importantly, we really wanted to blow the top off of STEM. So coming from a technology background, we were very interested in making sure that youth understood about mobile apps, how to program, how to do all sorts of cool things, and we really wanted their participation. It's for middle school and high school youth, and so our vision always was to make sure that we were creating the pipeline for a STEM career. So that is the vision specifically for that high-tech program, and then we want to leverage all the technology and partners that we could. It's been extremely successful. We actually matched it with our 3 pillars, which Howard County stands on, which was the self-directed education, research and assistance instruction, and instructive and enlightening experiences. We mapped the entire high tech to these 3 pillars, and that was the guiding principles. All of the pictures that you see in this presentation come from our students. It's actually photographs of people participating. One of the proudest moments about high tech is that if you look at these images, it is a diverse group of individuals, of teenagers who have come out to participate, and we're very proud about that. So for high tech, we had a structure of creation, but we implemented very much with a Google mindset. So what does that really mean? I won't read you all the bullets because you can read them up there, but what I'll tell you about the Google mindset is if you ever read the 10 things that Google thought were the most important of what they know to be true, and they said they focus on the user. Well, we start off by focusing on the teens. That was our sole purpose. We thought, they said, well, it's really nice to do one thing really, really well. We said, well, it's really nice to do one thing really, really well, but let's learn all the ins and outs of it. And by the way, let's see how we can push the metal and learn even more. We found out, agreed with Google, that fast is better than slow. We have a common slogan in our team. For high tech, we have a special team, and we always say, now is good. Half past now, quarter past now, but now. So it's now. So if you walk up to anyone on the high tech team, and even Valerie, our president and CEO, and say, now is good, she'll start laughing because she'll know you've heard from me. So now is always good. We think that we want democracy in terms of creating the curriculum. So it's not our instructors or our staff telling the teens always, you're going to learn this. What we do is we have youth forums. And we have about 50 youth. Whoever signs up first can come. They come, we feed them pizza, and you'd be surprised how much you get out of a teenager over a slice of cheese pizza. We don't do soda now, we do water. But it's really incredible. So we think about it. If you see the green spheres we have up there, those were our focus points when we went into the grant. We said we wanted to do multimedia, music, mobile books, international exchange, games. The pink spheres, the nanotechnology, the 3D design, the artificial reality, and the green engineering are what the students said they wanted to do. So what we do is we take a lot of information at the focus group, we tell them at the focus group we're going to do it, we write down what they are interested in, and then we take those notes back to our staff meeting for high tech, and we are accountable. The way we judge our success is not just by how many youth come to high tech, but how many of their ideas that we actually put into place. And we let them know, if we don't do it, you need to come back and tell us. So it's very exciting. We also think that there's a lot of things about STEM. So where some people think STEM is geeky and it can't, we think STEM is incredibly cool. And we bring the teams together that thinks it's incredibly cool. And we want the kids who think it isn't so great all the time. So what does that mean? What that means is that when we had these are some of the images from our different session classes that we've had and from the space. What it means about we make it really cool is that for teens, we had a game design class. And I'll be very frank, when we first had the game design class, we got most of the geeky kids. We got the kids who are in the GT. They showed up. The kids who were in the room doing the PlayStation, the Xbox, and my son was one in that room, and my daughter was over in the GT room, so I knew the mindsets of both. So over in the Xbox room, they just want to play games. They don't care. They just want to just veg out and have a cool time and beat each other. So what we did was we were kind of disappointed. I was very disappointed because I'm thinking everybody's going to want to geek out. Everyone's going to want to create a mobile app. Big surprise, everyone doesn't think like me. Go figure that. So what we did was after we created the prototype, we actually had the students who just wanted to play Xbox and do that sort of cool thing and not learn about the STEM stuff. They just came to hang out. We asked them to be our testers. So when they came in to do the testing, they were testing it, and so while they were doing that, we're like, oh, do you like it? Give us feedback. They were writing off, this is easy. And we're like, another middle schooler, a 12-year-old created this game. Oh man, I could have done this, I could have done better. Great, the next class is here. So we educated them. When we had the next class, some of those youth who were there just to hang out, come over. So we have a lot of interesting stories about how we got different groups involved. And these are just some more pictures. We've taught 3D design. We've actually worked with Johns Hopkins. They gave us some of the Kevlar. We were going to do something the kids wanted to learn about Kevlar. And if you've ever tried to buy a Kevlar jacket, it's like $100. And I can't really justify that on a library budget. So I'm not afraid to go ask and beg, basically. So we went to Johns Hopkins and we were in the conversation and the gentleman said, oh, I got some Kevlar right on top of my bookcase. They're a partner with us. He literally took it off, got his scissors, because they're special scissors that to cut Kevlar, cut it and gave us 3 pieces, and that helped with our nanotechnology class. So you never know with partnerships and talking to people about what you're doing, how it's going to pan out. So far what we've taught is we've taught nanotechnology, basic engineering, net zero building, which is green energy. We've taught mobile apps, Python. This is a book that we've also created. It's a book about bullying because, of course, in Columbia we have Choose Civility, for those who don't know. And so we had them write a book about Choose Civility. This is a book written by teenagers. It's all their story. Only thing we did was give them the chapter titles, told them to write the book. Well, they wrote the book, but the book is also an ebook. It's downloadable on your phone as well as on your iPad. So they had to learn the technology to post and put their book up. So it's really neat because it's their pictures. They took pictures using our cameras. We lay the equipment out, and we do provide instruction. We also offer classes, and our classes are all listed. Now, what I will tell you about youth and trying to get their input and get them to attend, and it's not just disadvantaged youth, it's any youth. The course curriculums we have listed on the internet, check the box that's for mom and dad. What we found out is that the youth really talk among themselves. So those of you who work with youth right now, they talk among each other. So they want to know. So we create an email list, we email them, we text them when we're having classes or what we're doing. They still have to register online. But what we found is word of mouth is the best advice. And the other thing is that being incredibly cool. So what we do is we actually ask their opinion after every class, and if they don't like something, we fix it and we try to make it even better. What we have found in the first few months, and this metric's a little bit old, I apologize, I didn't update the slide, but you'll see that in the first 18 months, we had about 3,400 visits and 700 students approximately. And that's because we had our program initiatives address what they were interested in. We listened to them. When they come into the space for high tech, they do not have to put down their basketball. They don't have to put down the skateboard. You know, they can't use it, but keep it with you, because I don't want to be responsible for a $200 skateboard anyway. So keep it and use it, and it makes them feel better. We don't say shush in the space. There's no quiet. You can talk and make the noises you want to talk. Now that doesn't work for every library system because your space may be open and sounds go across. So we try to make sure we have a very segmented space. We got that idea from Chicago's U Media. If you've ever been to Chicago's U Media space, it's very segmented, apart from the rest of the branch, and so we use that model. One thing that makes it very successful, if not the biggest thing besides the youth ideas, are our instructors. For this initiative, we purposely asked out system-wide who wanted to participate, who wanted to be an instructor. You have to actually have a passion for youth. So how many people here have teenagers? How many know a teenager? How many just pass by a teenager? Has anyone actually talked, not talked, but talked to a teenager and felt them? Those are the kind of people we try to have in high tech. We purposely go through an interview process with not just myself, but with the team, and we want to know that they are feeling them. Like they said, they're feeling them. Because if you don't, you will find yourself trying to dictate to them what their world is, whether they're disadvantaged or not. So when we have disadvantaged youth come to the space, and in some cases for high tech, they are watching their younger siblings. And so what we found is because the youth wanted to come so bad, and mom and dad are at work, they had their 2 younger brothers coming with them. This one young man did, and he kept leaving the space with the pizza. And we were like, what's that about? We come to find out, because he's watching his younger brother and sister for the week, for the day, he's taking pizza out to them, and he has them waiting in the courtyard because they're not allowed to come into his space. We can't change the rules, but what we can do is make it possible. So what we did was we changed the room design so that his class was actually taught next to the big window, so when his brothers were outside playing, he could keep an eye on them while he was learning. So it's things like that that we're constantly agile. The rules are there so that we can change them. The only purpose of being inside the box is to move your stuff in a moving or to have something to carry Xerox paper in. The box does not apply to high tech at all. In fact, we search for people who have a history and a passion for thinking outside the box. We run the staff meeting, very similar to a Silicon Graphics software meeting. The best idea wins. When I tell you the best idea, we have a high school student who's working with us, a young man who's very, very smart, and they go against each other. Who has the coolest idea? And so he's like, well, let's do bungee jumping. Let's teach the engineering behind bungee jumping. So fantastic. He's like, yeah, they could stay on the roof. And I have my peer, Ann Gilligan, and I can just see Ann's face. I'm like, oh, this is not going to go well. So here's what we're going to do. We're going to teach bungee jumping. We're going to teach the engineering. We're going to get a very high ladder that, by the way, you're going to have to make some high platform that you can't stand on. But let's put an egg or let's put something else up there, and you drop that off. Ah, okay, we'll go. So he goes with it. We then have someone who does infectious diseases, and they learn about all the gross diseases that are possible, and the kids run it like a medical conference. So we hire not just consultants and professionals, we hire students. If you have the best idea, you are passionate and committed, then you got the job. So in closing, what I'll say is that this was actually a slide. I don't have time to show it, but we do have, you can email me, and we do have video clips I can show you that show that what I'm saying it really is the truth, because some people want to just pitch things to you. But the video clips that I just had up there, they're actually, you can hear the youth talk themselves. We actually videotape the youth candidly. This year's been a great year for high tech. Not only have we gotten the National Leadership Grant to continue on with high tech, we also have gotten Library of the Year. We've also gotten an award for Top Innovator for high tech through the Urban Libraries Council. So we're really excited about high tech. What I will say is that we've tested out this year, it's not about money. So for those of you who think, oh, well, she got a grant, they can do it. We've been testing out the model for how do you implement it with little to no money, because we want everyone to do it. We are, with our leadership grant, building out a training program for other library systems. And we are, in fact, starting a new curriculum this summer that includes more programs with NASA. Thank you so much, and I'm sorry if I ran over.
That was just amazing, and it may be the first time in like 20 years that I thought, hey, I would like to be a teenager again. It's pretty remarkable. Let me pull up the next round of slides and introduce Stacey Montgomery, who is, as noted before, a librarian in PG County Public Schools.
Good afternoon. How's everyone today? Enjoying the symposium so far? Yeah. I just wanted to tell you a little bit about myself as I move through the slides. And before I move, how much time do you want me to have to take?
We need to conclude by 12:40.
Okay, I'll go fast. Okay. Basically, I just want to share some information about William Wirt Middle School in Riverdale, Maryland. And I shared this information very recently in Los Angeles at this place called the ASCD conference. I had an opportunity to share this information, so I'll share a little bit with you all. I won't do the whole presentation though. So William Wirt Middle School, we're located in Riverdale, Maryland, which is not very far from this location. Our school is very diverse, and so I'll tell you a little bit about the demographics. We have 6th, 7th, and 8th graders at William Wirt Middle School. We have 967 students. We have 114 students receiving services in special education. We also have 368 students receiving English language learning support, as well as 30 languages spoken in our building. We have 40 newcomers, and approximately 95% of our students, 92% at that time, was about free and reduced meals. So what happens is we have Title I funding for a number of things that we do in our school. We have a number of initiatives to help support our students in the school, and I'll tell you a little bit about the ones that actually deal with library media. But we have a program called Achieve 3000, and that's online learning. It gives the children a chance to practice and increase their reading. We also have a data-wise team that I participate in, and we try to make sure that all of the students are receiving data-driven support in our building. We also have Common Core. A lot of the students are given an opportunity to learn information, but what happens is we have a team of teachers who are coming up with creative ways of presenting this information. And then we also have that I'm also a member of the school planning and management team. Now, just to tell you a little bit about myself at the school, first of all, there's a program called TEDL. Everyone say TEDL. 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 If you scan that QR code, that'll take you somewhere. So anyone who has an actual QR scanner on your phone, feel free to scan that. But basically, we have a model at our school where we're attempting to transform education through digital learning. We have a one-to-one iPad initiative at our school where each student as well as each teacher is given an iPad. And I see Miss Oxley in the back, who is from one of our other TEDL schools, Buck Lodge. Everyone say hi. Okay, so basically what happens is, as a TEDL lead, I provide teachers an opportunity to learn how to teach with the iPad. The teachers become more innovative in their instruction. They also have an opportunity to receive differentiated professional development and to learn as a community and provide support to one another through what we call a professional learning community. So our teachers come together, they help one another when it comes to digital classroom management, they help one another when it comes to using specific apps, they help one another in all kinds of areas. But the main thing is, we're trying to make sure that our students who are digital natives are given an opportunity to utilize that benefit of having all these wonderful resources at home, but we want them to have it in school too. So basically, the iPads have come into our building, and we've had it for the past 3 years. Our students had a chance to go to, these are my babies here, they had a chance to go to Discovery Education just this past, maybe month. And they went to Discovery Education to actually give the call to action. People from Arnie Duncan to other members of educational communities from across the country were there, and this call to action was another symposium where they were discussing how do you make digital resources available in schools. And so our students provided this context, and I won't click play right now, but I would urge you, if you actually use that QR code, you can actually access these slides as well as the links to the videos. So you can do that after the program. Additionally, you all, as a school, we had an opportunity to work on a number of projects using Google Docs. We didn't want the students to just go and present this call to action and I wrote this thing and the kids went up there and actually presented it. They wrote it using Google Docs. And so what you see is an actual, I guess a screenshot of their script, as well as my comments on the side. So we do a lot of writing collaboratively because I want in the media center, I want them to become writers as well as readers. And so real examples to write are very important. And they had a chance to present, and you'll see that they did a wonderful job. I was here at the University of Maryland not too long ago, and I've had an opportunity to go out into the schools, and I've had a chance to be a media specialist for the past 21 years. And many people look at me and they say, how did that happen? But for the most part, I have been in the school system as a result of graduating from the CLIS program here at the University of Maryland. And I've loved being a media specialist. That's been a passion of mine. And I know Ms. Oxley has like the same passion. She even has a special trait, and I won't tell you all about that, but, but we love libraries, okay? And I'm saying this because when you go into a school, you have to love what you do, but you also have to love the children that you're doing it for, okay? And so I mean that everything that you're going to hear from this point forward has been done as a passion from my heart, okay? This has been done with a passion. So one of the things that we've done is we've developed partnerships with a number of different organizations, as well as the University of Maryland here. The department here of Library Science helped us to create this wonderful after-school program called Hack Health. How many of you have heard of Hack Health? Oh, wonderful. Well, basically, they came into our school. Can I get all of the adults that were a part of the Hack Health program, all of the University of Maryland and other schools? Can you all stand, please? We had these wonderful ladies come into our schools, and we had a chance to help the students to take a look at a health concern. When it comes down to looking at health issues, they had a chance to figure out what issue is very important and dear to my heart, whether it be a grandparent with a particular concern, or whether it be a family member, or them, the students themselves. And they had a chance to use the scientific inquiry process to look into these various medical issues. When they looked into these issues, they came in and they had a chance to brainstorm what would be a great program, a great idea to research. But then they had a chance to go through refining their project topic, as well as assessing the resources that they would use. So when it comes to information literacy, this program, Hack Health, could be applied to just about any topic. Teaching students how to research is critical. Understanding whether the resources that you're finding can actually be beneficial to you and whether they're reliable and credible, that's a critical skill to have. So in the STEM field, that's one of the pieces that I have seen missing. I'm going to share another program that we do, but it's so important that we integrate information literacy into STEM, and I'm going to actually call it iSTEM. I saw STEAM earlier, but I'm going to say iSTEM because we need to integrate information literacy into STEM. Does anyone agree with me? Okay, so with that being said, in the future when you all hear iSTEM, I say it first. Okay, so, no, but just seriously. The program allowed the students to create these wonderful projects, and here are some examples of some of our children. Basically what they did is they created news broadcasts, PowerPoints, and some of the topics that they created focused on a number of issues, such as mental health. One young lady was researching other people doing cutting. That's a very serious issue. One young lady was focusing on heart disease, foot pain, diabetes, and then one young lady decided she wanted to research pets, okay, the health of her pet. So a little bit more about STEM at William Wirt. We have a program that allows the entire school to participate in STEM. We have STEM fair instead of just a science fair. And so with that process, during the school day, my students come to me and I teach them the Big Six research method. When the students learn these research methods, they're also given access to use the information databases that we have available to them. And I teach them how to do searches, and they find information, they find things on their own reading level that are lexiled. But the key thing is that we have a very diverse group of students at our school, and so we want to give them a chance to become involved in STEM across the board. Now we have a few programs that are specialized, that are after school STEM activities, and this particular one called GEMS is also a partnership with the University of Maryland. It's called Girls in Engineering, Math, and Science. And so those young people get a chance to go out to the woods. The people from the University of Maryland come into the schools. They do experiments. There are so many wonderful things that the children do as far as being a part of GEMS. We have a group called Gap Busters. There's a company that meets with the children up the hill from our school at this place called the Maryland Multicultural Youth Center, and they give the children a chance to go on trips. They build their own cars, have their own NASCAR races. They even went recently to the Tennessee National Society of Black Engineers conference, and they took their own robots to compete in the first LEGO First Robotics program. We also have a group of students that go to Houston, Texas. Now I'm going to pause, because this makes me think right now. Okay. Today is the last day before spring break, okay? And I just need to contextualize this whole thought process of mine. On the 24th of April, I will be taking a group of students to Houston, Texas. So this was last year's trip. I am currently in the process of planning the last little details of this trip as we speak. So as soon as this project, my sharing with you all is over, I'm gonna have to unfortunately leave. This is heavy on my mind right now. But I want to tell you a little bit about what it is. Basically, C-STEM is an opportunity where we take children to try to help them become excited about science, technology, engineering, and math. But you keep seeing this C in the front. You might want to know why is there a C in front, not an I, because I said the I was important, right? Well, what happens is the students are going to be a part of this group. Each year the group grows. They get a chance to learn about these different science topics, but they also get a chance to go on field trips and they learn about becoming engineers. We have a diverse, culturally and linguistically diverse group of students, and one of the things that you'll find is that in the engineering industry, a lot of science industries, I've heard this term, AV boys and library girls. Have you all heard that term before? That was introduced to me when I was in this program, and that offended me tremendously. Okay, so with that being said, I think that girls can be engineers. I think that students of all cultural backgrounds can be engineers, scientists, users of technology, creators of technology. And so I don't believe that any one group of people holds the market on being employable beyond high school in STEM careers. So the purpose of C-STEM is to expose students who are in underrepresented populations in those fields. So let me tell you a little bit about that. The C in C-STEM stands for communication, and it's, of course, communication, science, technology, engineering, and mathematics. That is what C-STEM stands for. And they are a company based in Houston, Texas, and this is a group of my students as we were leaving out of one of the venues that we visited while we were in Houston, Texas. We went to a basketball game too while we were there. No, I'm just kidding. No, we had a lot of fun too while we were there. Now, we also went to a baseball game. But let me tell you a little bit about C-STEM. C-STEM was started by Dr. Reagan Flowers, and she has recently, within the past couple of months, been awarded the President's Award for being a champion of change, being an innovator in creating programs that increase the diversity in STEM fields. And so what you'll see is this program is one of the things that we do in our school. So let me tell you a little bit about that. This program has opened the lines of communication among the schools. In order to make this program work, we have to work with maybe the University of Maryland, we work with NASA engineers, we've worked with people in the community. So what we try to do is pull people into our building to get support, but it also opens a line of communication among schools. A lot of times when you're in elementary school, you only talk to elementary school teachers and students. But then now, because this is a feeder pattern model, meaning you have to have an elementary, you have to have a middle school, and you have to have a high school, all of these schools are now talking to one another, okay? We also have an increased number of students who are interested in STEM careers, and they start in elementary school, but they become more nurtured as they become high school students. Then we also have partnerships, again, as we said, in the community, as well as in colleges. When it comes to STEM, and I see my time is almost up. So when it comes to STEM, we're trying to help to expose our students to STEM careers and to help them solve real-world problems. The students get an opportunity to practice public speaking. They have a chance to talk to industry professionals. We do conference calls with people in Houston, and they do webinars, and they give their feedback as they're creating their projects. They're working on their different artifacts, and they get a chance to do the presentation in Houston, and they get a chance to get comfortable with speaking in front of people, as well as explore colleges and careers. We do a lot of college visits. We do a number of visits to colleges and universities so that they can get a chance to see what is available to them. When it comes to CSTEM, the first thing all challenges do is we do research. The research that they do is based on a theme. They're environmental topics. So for example, one year was the oil spill. This year is water and energy conservation. So they're doing research, and so you get a chance to teach the students research, and it's so important for students to learn that. They develop vocabulary that they may not have used, and they analyze sources. So these are some of the things we do with research, and those are some of the themes. Each school has to have each one of these 6 challenges: robotics, muraling, sculpture, GIS, green, which has now been combined with GIS, creative writing, and photography. Now, I know you heard me say more than 6, but they've combined a few this year. So basically what happens is the students get a chance to research these various projects, and they create these wonderful artifacts. When they create the artifacts, they're interacting with a number of different types of technology. They become writers. And they're also getting a chance to do social networking in a very responsible environment. The students won laptops as a result of this program. And basically they get a chance to document their writing. They get a chance to do more writing here. And I'm moving a little fast because I need to finish. But through the Creative Writing Challenge, this is one of the videos that the students created. And basically they had to research the dead zone. And I'm just going to let it play as I'm talking so that you can kind of see it as well as hear me. But this is one young man who was explaining how he's now interested in going into video production. And he's also talking a little bit about the CSTEM Challenge. And here is an example of some of the things that they've created. They had to create a mural, they had to create a sculpture. And as they create these things, they're integrating science, technology, engineering, and mathematics, but more importantly, they're getting a chance to research, which is the I in STEM. So I have no more to say. Thank you all for your time.
Thank you. Now, I really never thought I'd say this, but I might actually want to go back to middle school. Not really, actually. So we have time for 1 or 2 questions, and then lunch. Do I have any questions from the audience? Here, Brian, can you?
Yes, I can.
Thank you.
Yes, I can. Is this thing working? Yes.
Thank you. I'm Sarah Matoro from the Institute of Museum and Library Services, and I was wondering if any of the panelists could speak to how you might think about tracking the students who participate in your programs in terms of that bigger issue of the STEM pipeline and interest and engagement in STEM careers over time.
I can take that. I'll take the question, and if you guys can chime in, I guess. We actually measure the youth. We know the names. We have them registered just with us. We then know the classes because we have a registration process. We have not seen them matriculate on to college yet. We do have one young man who came through our 3D program. His family actually moved to Atlanta. He's a junior in high school right now. He got a job designing 3D chess pieces at an Atlanta game company. So we do know that, and then the youth who are designing the mobile app, their names are on the mobile app, and we have gotten their parents to agree to let us know what they pursue when they go to college. We're working with both University of Maryland College Park and UMBC with hopes that if they go locally, we'll know. But we've also encouraged the students to get back with us, and we're doing the tracking in accordance with the NIH regulations of data tracking of minors.
Our school basically has an opportunity to feed into the high school, and our elementary school students feed into us as a middle school. So we have an opportunity to watch those groups of students move through the process. But then when it comes down to graduating from high school, our first group of children that started in elementary school now are currently in high school, and they are graduating. We have a number of them who have gone to universities and written letters of application, written in their letters of application that they participated in this program, and they received scholarships as a result of that. And we've also tried to make a program. We haven't been successful in doing so. It's still in its infancy stages, but we would like to create a high school course where the students can do this during the day. So we do want to take those children who are leaving the middle school and have an actual structured program at the high school level to potentially be able to give them a chance to focus on these STEM skills during the day.
Okay, any other questions?
I thought I saw someone on this side of the room.
Yes.
I was just wondering if anybody has had any experience with the Team America Rocketry Challenge. Have you implemented that?
We've not implemented that initiative. We have worked on a quad rotor and rockets last summer. I'm familiar with that initiative. Our timing was off. They were already doing a national-wide push. But this summer, we are doing another rocket challenge, and we are building, last year we built small hovercrafts that were 8 by 11, and this summer we're building a hovercraft that will hold one person. So we have University of Maryland engineering graduate students coming back to teach that class. And there will be release policy for parents.
So 2 quick points before we wrap up before lunch. Angela Brade has kindly brought some handouts that are in the back about the high-tech program and about Howard County Library Services. And then next lunch will be served. It is already set up right over there. Go ahead, help yourself, grab your lunch. As soon as people are settled back in again, we have another round of speakers and very excitingly, the Partridge Report. Thank you so much to our speakers. I've learned a tremendous amount.